Got another dream to tell. A nightmare, of course. So in this nightmare, it starts off, I think there was actually another dream in there, because I woke up at like 1:30. I had to pee, but I don't really remember that dream. But this one was pretty was pretty wacky, so I'm gonna tell it. In the beginning of the dream, my dad calls me and said, "Hey, guess what?" I said, "Yeah, what?" Because I think I was like in the middle of feeding the boys. And he says, Metallica just announced a surprise concert. They're playing at the Park Theater downtown, and I just so happen to be one of the lucky call-in winners on the radio, and I won the chance to buy 2 tickets. Because he didn't win the tickets, he won the chance to buy them. Still had to buy them. So I'm like, well, sweet. There was a catch though. Metallica was promoting the release of this vaccine. It was supposed to be, I don't even know, it was some sort of super multi-virus immune booster. It was supposed to be like a super broken down, simple type of, it wasn't like a fancy new vaccine. It was kind of advertised as like, well, they used to make vaccines this way, and they were effective at getting rid of polio and smallpox, and they got away from doing them the correct way because it was cheaper. And this one is being made according to the old standards that were better back in the day. People don't know it, but the vaccines back then were much more effective because they weren't trying to cut costs. My gosh, nice turn signal. And so it was being advertised as like the safest vaccine on the market, and it targeted a whole bunch of different stuff. It was just an overall general immune boost. They said something about how, what do the common cold and norovirus and hand, foot, mouth, what do all these diseases have in common? They all target children, and they all share the same root DNA strain. It was something like that. And they said, you know, this vaccine is not revolutionary. And then, you know, they went into about how, because it was the way they used to make them. Well, Metallica was promoting this, and in order to get into their concert, you had to go to the little lobby, and there were people there. They would take your ticket, and then they'd give you the vaccine, and you were part of like this promotional It was something Metallica really believed in, and they were all getting it. Everything sounded great. And when we got there, you had to show your little QR code, and then you would go to the booth, and they would let you pay for your ticket. My dad was buying. He told me he'd buy our tickets. And so, like, I brought my wallet, but, like, I didn't plan on spending any money. And, but I think I had $200 in my wallet, just because, in case I wanted to buy merchandise or shirts or hats or whatever. Well, my dad gets up to the ticket booth, and I'm like, you know what, it's not fair. I'll buy my own ticket. So I hand him the $200. And he's like, oh dear, well, you didn't have to, but thank you. So he puts the money on the counter as they're ringing him up. And they're like, they took the $200 and they were like crunching the numbers, and he was expecting them to give him back some change. And they go, you still owe $682. And I looked at my dad, because he was like looking at something. I said, hey, you still owe them $682. My dad was like, what? No, they can't be that much. So the tickets were going to be $882. And I'm like, I said, let's just go. And he's like, no, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'll go to the ATM. They have an ATM over here. I'll just go over there. He pulled out the money, and I had like a sick feeling in my stomach, because I'm like, my dad just spent $682, and I just spent $200, and I didn't tell Emily anything I was going to spend this or anything. So we get in, we're like really, really close to the stage, and I'm like, this is going to be so awesome. Like, if I were to just talk in a normal tone of voice and it was quiet, from where Metallica was, from where we were, you could hear us, or you could have heard me speaking. It was, maybe like 15 feet away from the stage. They finally came on board, and they did their thing, and it was an awesome concert. And we got home, and my dad said, don't worry about paying me back. I had a bonus from my work for $500, and that basically washes what I planned on spending with your money. And I planned on telling Emily about the money in the morning, because she was asleep, and I figured I would just have it where that would just be taken out of my Father's Day, birthday, Christmas, everything gift, because it was an awesome show, and I already spent the money without asking her. I should have just walked away. But I got in bed and went to sleep. And like 3 in the morning, and granted, this is in the dream, you know, dream within a dream, or sleep within a dream, I should say. In the dream, I woke up around 3:30, and man, my heart was just, it was like, you know how, like, if you've ever had like heart palpitations, where like your heart is beating and it kind of flutters and you can feel it. Well, I sat up, or like tried to sit up, and just put my hand on my heart, and my heart was just sputtering, and like it really was starting to get hard to breathe. And I'm like, what the heck? Like I started just taking deep breaths. And finally, Emily woke up and said, what are you doing? And I said, I can't breathe. She said, well, did you have your sleep machine on? I said, yeah, I did. He's like, well, just take some deep breaths. And I kept doing that for like 5 minutes, and it wasn't getting any better. And she said, are you going to be okay? I said, Emily, it feels like my chest is about to cave in. She said, what do you mean? Like, I thought you said you can't breathe. I said, my chest feels like it's being ripped open. He said, well, is it like a shoulder pain or like a muscle pain? I said, no. This feels like I'm having a heart attack. And she said, well, let's put the blood pressure cuff on your arm, because that will tell us if there's something going on with your heart. And she put the blood pressure cuff on my arm. I was still laying in bed because I like couldn't get up, and I'm in just agonizing pain. And she gets the cuff on me, turns the light on, and it kept going up and up and up. And my goodness. At one point it was like 150 over 200. And then it just said, no, it's not your turn, you stay. It just said, danger. And then it just said, sticky. I don't know what sticky means, but I guess it was telling me that my blood was so thick that it was sticky. And I said, we gotta call 911. And she's like, are you sure? Like, you really think that this is a big deal? I'm like, yes, I'm having a heart attack. That's what this is. Like, well, I'll have to call my mom and have her come watch the boys. So Emily went to call her mom, and like in my like disenhanced state of mind, I couldn't call 911. Like I dialed like my dad's phone number, but I got one of the digits wrong, and it ended up with like a video call with these two dudes that were just like, hey, were you the guy who ordered the food? And I'm like, no, wrong number. And then I dialed 911, and like I couldn't tell them that I needed an ambulance. And they were saying something about, sir, we're gonna send the police right out. And at this point, you know, when you're having a heart attack, you could go at any moment. And so I'm trying desperately to tell them that I need an ambulance. And Emily is off trying to get her parents up so that they can come watch the boys. They were actually in the street. And then eventually I think we got an ambulance to come, and the first responders came. They put some like little sticky things on my heart, and they were listening to me, and they said, yeah, you're having an infarction, we need to go right now. So they rushed me to the hospital, and when I got there, the doctor from the show 600 Pound Life, Dr. Nozardin, he was the doctor. At first he starts talking to me like I'm one of his 600 pound, 700 pound patients. Well, do you have this? Do you have that? Does this hurt? Blah, blah, blah. Let me look at you. And he got, you know, he listened to my heart, and he like felt behind my ears. Don't know what that had to do with anything. And he just said, okay, the reason why you're having the cardio infarction is because of your weight. And I said, no, I think this was that vaccine. I think the vaccine is causing this. And he said, no. You're having the episode because of your weight. And I said, well, run some blood tests on me. But whatever you're doing, get it done, because I don't want to die. I think I started crying at that point, because it just felt like somebody had like a sledgehammer, and they were just hit every time my heart beat. There were two guys taking turns, just wailing away at my chest. And so he goes away. They took some blood, which at like this point I'm like ready to pass out. I'm like saying my prayers in my head, like this could be it. And Dr. Nozardin came back, and I remember having like a little adrenaline rush of like, I have to listen to what he says, so I have to wake up. And he just said, okay, Jeremy, your lab tests are in. It doesn't look, while you are unhealthy, it doesn't look like you have any levels of cholesterol or fat in your body that would be indicative of something that could cause a heart attack. So that tells me something else is causing this. So we're going to get you in for a CAT scan, and we're going to look at your heart. And so they got me in and took a look at my heart, and there was a rip in one of the valves. And they were trying to determine what could cause this. And it had turned out that one of the ingredients in the vaccine was known to cause cardiac muscle hemorrhaging. And that was why they quit. That was the reason why they quit using that ingredient way back in the day. That was the reason why with the vaccine they quit using those ingredients. It wasn't because, and like the people making it were like technically medically certified, but the vaccines were not like approved by the FDA or anything like that. And like, I didn't know that. I was just like, you know, hey, cool, Metallica concert. And so they had to like do a dialysis because it was some sort of heavy metal, like mercury or something. Not mercury, I don't remember, that your body couldn't get rid of on its own. So he said, okay, we're gonna do dialysis on your blood to remove the toxin, and then we're gonna have to go in and repair your heart. And so they put me to sleep, did all that, and like, it didn't really seem like anybody in my family or anywhere really, nobody really cared. It was like, I think Brent, the mom, came and they were like, oh, how you doing? Oh, okay. When do you think you're gonna be getting out of here? I meant to ask you, how much time off work do you have left? Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, are you okay? It was kind of like, well, we're gonna have to get back to business soon, you know. And I think there were some other details of the dream that were there. I'm trying to think of them, but I have to go into work in just a second, so I think this is where we're gonna end it. Pretty crappy nightmare. Like, almost died. Had a literal heart attack. Nobody gave a crap. Or they just thought it was because I was fat. I'm just so fat that my heart just exploded for no reason. Alright, let's end it.